It started with a few frustrated customer stories that seemed too bizarre to be true. People walking into Toyota dealerships expecting routine service or trade-ins, only to discover something deeply unsettling behind the scenes. Now, that trickle of complaints has exploded into a full-blown scandal that's shaking the foundation of one of the world's most trusted automakers. Reports are pouring in from across the country, buyers claiming they were overcharged, trade-in values mysteriously adjusted after deals were signed, and certification documents that don't quite add up. What's happening inside Toyota dealerships right now is sparking outrage, confusion, and disbelief because no one saw this coming from a brand that built its reputation on reliability and integrity. Whistleblowers inside the system are finally starting to talk, describing a high-pressure environment where sales targets trump transparency and where dealership managers allegedly encouraged creative accounting to keep profits up. One insider described it as a culture of numbers over honesty, revealing that some dealerships may have been altering inspection reports or stretching the definition of certified pre-owned to push more vehicles out the door. Customers who trusted Toyota's certification program, paying extra for peace of mind, are now wondering if the cars they bought were ever properly inspected at all. It's a stunning accusation, and as more documents and testimonies surface, the pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. The story began to leak when a small consumer protection blog published screenshots of internal emails from dealership staff, raising questions about pricing manipulation and falsified service records. At first, Toyota's corporate office dismissed the claims as isolated incidents, a few bad actors, they said. But as more evidence emerged and the state investigators started asking questions, that explanation began to crumble. Instead of easing tensions, Toyota's vague and cautious statements have only deepened public suspicion. People are demanding answers, and social media has erupted into a firestorm of anger, disbelief, and betrayal. Longtime Toyota owners are posting their VIN numbers online, begging others to check if their vehicles were part of the questionable certification program. Competitors are watching closely, some using the scandal as quiet ammunition in their marketing, others nervously reviewing their own dealership practices in case this spreads beyond Toyota. Analysts say this could be the beginning of a wider reckoning across the auto industry, one that forces dealerships nationwide to confront how they handle financing, warranties, and certification standards. Meanwhile, consumers are caught in the middle, excited by the chance that scandal-driven discounts might emerge, but also hesitant, unsure of who to trust in an industry suddenly clouded by deceit. And the deeper experts dig, the more they realize this isn't just a Toyota problem, it's a systemic issue that exposes how fragile consumer trust really is. If these allegations hold true, it could trigger mass recalls, lawsuits, and a historic shift in how car dealerships operate. Dealerships could see their inventory values plummet overnight. Used car markets could destabilize, and lenders could face new scrutiny over how these vehicles were financed. Some are even suggesting that this might spark government intervention, a new wave of regulations designed to protect buyers from dealership-level fraud. The most shocking revelation came from a former regional sales director who claimed that certain dealership practices weren't just tolerated, they were incentivized. Sales bonuses, commissions, and performance rewards allegedly tied to inflated service charges and manipulated trade-in values. It wasn't one rogue branch, it was a system. A finely tuned machine designed to maximize profits while customers believed they were getting a fair deal. Investigators are now digging through years of transaction data, certification logs, and warranty claims, trying to piece together just how far this deception spread. The deeper they look, the more irregularities they find: VIN numbers linked to duplicate inspection reports, missing maintenance records, and unexplained alterations to digital logs. Meanwhile, Toyota's once bulletproof public image is taking hit after hit. News outlets are running exposés, late-night hosts are cracking jokes about Toyota truth tests, and influencers who once promoted the brand are suddenly deleting their sponsorship posts. It's a PR nightmare unfolding in real time, and the company's attempts to contain it are backfiring. Every vague statement, every no comment, is fueling more speculation. Some consumers are even organizing class action lawsuits, accusing dealerships of deliberate misrepresentation and financial exploitation. What's worse, these claims are now being cross-referenced with similar reports from overseas, suggesting the issue may not be confined to U.S. dealerships alone. Inside the auto industry, this scandal has become the talk of every boardroom. Competing automakers, sensing opportunity, are rushing to distance themselves from similar dealership structures. Ford, Honda, and Nissan executives are reportedly reviewing internal compliance programs, while electric car brands like Tesla, with their direct-to-consumer model, are seizing the moment to highlight their no-dealership approach. Analysts are calling it the Toyota effect, a potential turning point that could permanently change how cars are sold and certified in America. But behind all the headlines and boardroom panic lies something even more unsettling: the growing divide between Toyota's corporate image and the experiences of everyday customers. Loyal drivers who've owned Toyotas for decades are now questioning everything. They're checking their paperwork, calling dealerships, comparing inspection reports line by line. Forums are filled with anxious owners asking the same thing: was I scammed too? The trust that took generations to build is crumbling overnight. Toyota knows that once it's gone, it may never return. And yet, the investigation is far from over. New witnesses are coming forward every day, and rumors are circulating that a massive internal audit is underway, one that could expose years of hidden data and reveal how deep the deception truly runs. Some say top executives are preparing for a public reckoning, while others insist there's a cover-up in progress, designed to buy time and shift blame onto local dealerships. But as leaks continue to surface, it's clear that the truth won't stay buried much longer. Because if what insiders are saying is accurate, the next phase of this scandal could make everything revealed so far look small by comparison. Of course, here's the continuation of the YouTube script, picking up seamlessly from where it left off, keeping that same gripping tone of suspense, revelation, and unfolding investigation. Leaked documents are now beginning to surface: online spreadsheets, internal memos, even fragments of emails allegedly exchanged between regional managers and dealership executives. What they reveal is nothing short of explosive. In one document, targets were laid out month by month, pushing dealerships to hit unrealistic profitability goals, often through what the memo described as creative certification optimization. That term alone has set off alarms among investigators because it appears to be coded language for manipulating the certification process, a way to turn borderline used cars into Toyota-certified models that could command thousands more in profit. And now, with these leaks spreading across social media, Toyota's internal communications are under a microscope. Every line, every abbreviation, every unexplained number is being dissected by journalists and whistleblower networks determined to find out who knew what and when. Insiders say the tension inside Toyota headquarters is palpable. Employees are reportedly being questioned by compliance officers, and entire departments have been placed on internal review. Some sources claim that high-ranking executives are clashing behind closed doors over how to handle the crisis, with one faction pushing for total transparency and another urging damage control at any cost. That divide has created an atmosphere of paranoia. People are afraid to speak, meetings are being recorded, and even longtime staff are whispering about who might be next to resign. The fear isn't just about losing jobs anymore, it's about potential criminal liability if the investigation uncovers evidence of deliberate fraud or deception. Meanwhile, consumer outrage is reaching a boiling point. News footage shows crowds outside certain dealerships, holding up signs reading "Show us the truth" and "We trusted Toyota." The public sentiment has shifted from disappointment to fury. Videos of customers confronting dealership managers are going viral, and influencers across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube are calling this the biggest automotive betrayal of the decade. Every day, more people are coming forward with their own stories: cars sold with missing service histories, warranty promises that vanished after signing, and unexplained fees buried deep within the fine print. The scandal is no longer confined to corporate halls. It's on the streets, in the showrooms, in the hearts of customers who feel deceived by the brand they once defended. At the same time, whispers of an internal whistleblower report are spreading rapidly. Rumor has it that someone inside Toyota's U.S. operations compiled a dossier, hundreds of pages of evidence outlining years of questionable dealership practices, ignored warnings, and failed internal audits. That document, according to anonymous sources, was sent to both regulators and major media outlets just days ago. If it's real, and if the contents are as damning as insiders suggest, it could spark congressional hearings and trigger one of the largest consumer protection cases in automotive history. Legal experts are already speculating about massive fines, executive resignations, and potential criminal charges not just for dealership staff, but possibly for corporate officials who looked the other way. But even as these rumors swirl, Toyota continues to project calm, releasing carefully worded statements about ongoing cooperation and commitment to integrity. Yet the tone feels hollow now. Every reassurance only seems to fan the flames, as the public senses there's much more to the story than Toyota is admitting. And with more documents still being verified, the question looming over everyone's mind is simple: what's the company trying to hide, and how far are they willing to go to keep it buried? Because the deeper investigators dig, the closer they seem to get to something bigger, something systemic, something that might not just shake Toyota, but the entire global auto industry to its core. And as the next wave of leaked files threatens to hit the internet any day now, one thing is certain: the real truth behind the Toyota dealership scandal may be even darker than anyone dared to imagine. And then, just as speculation reached a fever pitch, the leaks hit the internet not as rumors this time, but as verified documents published by multiple investigative outlets. Overnight, screenshots of confidential Toyota communications flooded social media. Internal audit reports, dealership sales data, even redacted email threads between senior managers began circulating across Reddit, X, and automotive forums worldwide. What they revealed was worse than most had expected. Some dealerships had reportedly bypassed entire inspection steps, signing off on vehicles that had never been checked. Others appeared to alter mileage records or conceal minor collision histories to maintain inflated resale values. The documents also hinted at the existence of a shadow network, a coordinated chain of dealerships sharing software tools to modify or clean digital maintenance logs before cars hit the sales floor. Meanwhile, the broader automotive world is bracing for the fallout. Competing brands are already preparing for an influx of disillusioned Toyota customers, rolling out new loyalty programs, limited time offers, and extended warranties designed to win over those who've lost faith. Industry analysts warn that the damage to Toyota's reputation could linger for years, especially if regulators uncover evidence of corporate-level negligence. And the financial implications? Staggering. Stock prices have begun to slide, investors are nervous, and whispers of potential shareholder lawsuits are growing louder. Economists are even speculating that this could trigger a ripple effect across the used car market, as consumers grow wary of dealership certifications altogether. But beyond the corporate chaos, there's a more human story unfolding: the thousands of ordinary buyers now realizing they may have been misled. Families who saved for years to buy a certified Toyota are learning their cars may not meet the standards they were promised. Mechanics are stepping forward with receipts and repair histories that don't match official records, revealing what some describe as intentional digital tampering. The public outrage is turning into something much more organized: a collective demand for justice. Online petitions are gathering hundreds of thousands of signatures calling for a full-scale federal investigation, while legal firms are already positioning themselves for class action suits that could cost Toyota billions. And yet, even as the scandal consumes headlines and courtrooms prepare for battle, whispers continue to surface: rumors of deeper collusion, secret settlements, and a potential international connection that could blow the case wide open. Because according to insiders, the documents that just leaked might only be a fraction of what's out there. More files, more names, and more evidence are said to be hidden, stored away by someone who claims to have been a part of the system and now wants the world to know the full truth. And if that source steps forward, everything we thought we knew about this scandal might change overnight. Because what's about to emerge next could expose not just what happened, but who made it happen, and why it was allowed to go on for so long. Within days, the government hearings were announced. News networks cut to live coverage as rows of Toyota executives took their seats before a packed congressional committee room, flashing cameras, murmuring journalists, and a sea of restless onlookers. The world was watching. For decades, Toyota had symbolized dependability, a brand synonymous with trust. Now, those same executives were being grilled under oath, their every word dissected in real time. Lawmakers held up printed copies of the leaked documents, pressing them on internal memos that appeared to confirm dealership-level misconduct. Did Toyota know about the falsified certifications? One senator demanded. The executives shifted in their seats, dodging direct answers with carefully rehearsed phrases about ongoing investigations and commitments to consumer transparency. But the evasiveness only made things worse. Each vague response drew audible groans from the audience, further eroding public confidence. Behind the scenes, investigators were racing against time. Teams from the FTC and Department of Transportation had already begun cross-referencing dealership databases, comparing vehicle records, and interviewing whistleblowers who once worked within Toyota's certification departments. Some of those testimonies were devastating. One former regional quality manager described how inspection shortcuts were not only tolerated, but normalized, encouraged as a way to keep throughput high and meet quarterly volume targets. Another claimed that dealership software used for vehicle history entries had a hidden override function allowing authorized users to alter timestamps and clear maintenance flags. Each new revelation painted a picture of a system built not on oversight, but on concealment. Outside the courtroom, the media frenzy reached new heights. Every network, every podcast, every automotive journalist had an angle. Analysts debated whether Toyota's empire could survive the mounting public backlash. Shareholders were furious, demanding immediate resignations and full transparency. The stock continued to tumble, wiping out billions in market value within weeks. Meanwhile, dealerships across the country were feeling the pressure firsthand. Sales floors that once buzzed with customers now sat eerily quiet. Employees whispered about layoffs. Some franchise owners even began removing Toyota signage entirely, hoping to distance themselves from the chaos. It wasn't just a scandal anymore, it was an identity crisis, spreading from corporate boardrooms to small-town showrooms. And as the hearings dragged on, something unexpected happened. A whistleblower appeared in person. A mid-level compliance officer from Toyota's North American branch walked into the room carrying a thick folder of documents. The audience fell silent. What followed was one of the most dramatic moments in modern automotive history. The whistleblower claimed to have first-hand evidence of deliberate suppression emails, directives, and internal reviews that allegedly proved corporate leaders were aware of dealership fraud months before the story broke publicly. The folder, according to reports, contained communications between executives and legal teams discussing how to minimize exposure and redirect responsibility away from headquarters. The committee chair called for an immediate recess as officials scrambled to verify the authenticity of the material. Outside the hearing, reporters swarmed the whistleblower as security escorted them through a back entrance. The internet exploded within minutes. Posts tagged #Toyota. Cover-up began trending across every major platform. Speculation ran wild. What else could those files contain? Were there names, payment records, perhaps even internal strategy memos? By nightfall, parts of the documents had already been leaked online, sparking another wave of outrage. Comment sections filled with disbelief. "This is bigger than emissions," one viewer wrote. "This could rewrite how the entire dealership model operates." And while Toyota's public relations department scrambled to contain the fallout, investigators quietly expanded their reach, looking not just at dealerships but at third-party vendors, certification contractors, and even foreign subsidiaries that may have participated in the same questionable practices. Suddenly, what began as a domestic scandal was turning into something global. Analysts warned that if the evidence connected international operations, the consequences could dwarf anything seen in automotive history. The markets braced for impact. And industry insiders whispered that a reckoning was near one that might force the company to confront decades of hidden truths long buried beneath polished advertising and perfect customer satisfaction scores. But even as all eyes turned to the hearings, one question loomed over everything. Where did the whistleblower get those documents, and who else was involved in leaking them? Because sources close to the investigation now suggest that this insider wasn't acting alone.